New effects for War Axe and Brute Force Breastplate. Hey guys, what's up? So we have a new update on Advanced Server featuring Vexana and the items War Axe and Brute Force Breastplate. First is the buff on Vexana. Her first skill is now faster and wider, and you can confirm that by looking at this comparison. This skill also has a slight knockback effect which pushes enemies away from Vexana. If you continuously hit a target, you can see them slightly moving away because of the knockback. Her second skill will now explode much faster, just like this. But in return, they had to remove the slow effect. Cooldown is also lowered by a couple of seconds, as well as its mana requirement. So no more slow effect, but the delay on her first and second skills are shortened, making it easier to hit fast-moving enemies. Is this a good buff for Vexana? Next is the adjustment on the revamped Aurora. The damage on her first skill is weakened, but its cooldown is now shorter. With a 40% cooldown reduction build, you can spam the skill with limited downtime. Another update is her second skill. Previously, only targets that are at the outer part will be frozen. But now, the inner part also has a freeze effect. The only difference is that the targets at the edge will receive extra damage. Next is the adjustment on Kimmy. The developer said the previous changes gave Kimmy too much damage boost in the mid and late game. To fix this, they had to lower the bonus critical chance by 5% at max level. And the energy cost for her first skill is now set at 4 on all levels. Next is Barats. Now that he only has 10 stacks, they had to adjust his defense buff per stack. So if we compare it to the official server version, there's now a 20-point difference when reaching max stacks. This is a good buff, knowing that it's easier to maintain his stacks because of the new features. Another change is his second skill, where the stun will end when the push is done. So if you want to stun the enemy longer, you have to move away. Is that right? Next is Alice. The developer said the previous adjustments gave her too much damage. To balance, they had to lower the HP-based damage of her second skill. And her ultimate will also have a higher mana cost. Just when things are getting better for the Abyss Queen, then comes the Nerf Hammer. Next are the adjustments on the new hero, Cici. Her passive skill will now add 1% movement speed and 1.5% spell vamp for each stack. And when it reaches maximum stack, which is 10, the effect will be doubled. So that's 20% movement speed and 30% spell vamp at full stacks. Crowd Control can now pause her first skill yo-yo attacks, but it won't cancel the skill. The second dash on her second skill is now faster. And her ultimate has a shorter cooldown and stronger slow effect. Next are the item adjustments. Brute Force Breastplate has a new way to collect stacks. Instead of casting skills and basic attacks, you'll now need to receive damage from an enemy hero to gain a stack. It gives defense for each stack, and it increases every second. The maximum stack is 6, and you can extend its duration when the enemy hits you. Once it reaches full stack, you will gain 15% movement speed and 15% resilience. So the only way to collect stacks is when you receive damage from enemy heroes. Taking damage from minions and jungle creeps will not give you stacks. To give you a better idea, here's a comparison of the old and new Brute Force Breastplate. The new version gives higher defense, but the movement speed can only be activated on full stacks. Next is the item War Axe. Each stack now gives 16 physical attack, and it can reach up to 6 stacks. When at full stacks, it gives 15% extra damage and 15% spell vamp. There's also a new rule where you can only gain stacks when hitting an enemy hero. Dealing damage to jungle and minions will not give you stacks. The base attack is also lowered from 40 to 25. Here's a comparison of the stats you can get from both versions of War Axe. The new one has spell vamp, but it only activates when dealing damage to enemy heroes. Next are the roaming boots. Instead of gaining 25% extra experience and gold for the entire game, they changed it to 45% extra experience and gold for the first 8 minutes. So that means roamers will get more resources on the early stages of the game. It also means faster activation of their roaming skills like Conceal and Favor. Next are the battlefield adjustments. They adjusted the logic for summoned units, specifically Retribution. Summoned units are now considered as heroes, which means retribution damage won't be as high as before. The affected summoned units are from the following heroes: Sun, Hanzo, Atlas, and Guinevere. Next is the continuous damage from jungle items. It will now stop once the jungler dies. As you all know, the damage lasts for 3 seconds, and sometimes it can still last hit objectives even if the jungler is dead. Last one is the optimization of obstacles and displacement skills. What they basically did is a more accurate approach when dashing or moving through obstacles. They said that a hero should be able to pass through an obstacle as long as the tip of the skill indicator is over or near the edge of an obstacle. And because of this, they had to adjust the skill indicators of some heroes to match their displacement distance. Example is Irrital. As you can see, her ultimate now has a slightly longer skill indicator. The jump distance remains the same, it's just more accurate now. But now that it's optimized, you now have a better chance at jumping through walls. Last are the new rank badges. And they also have new designs for the border. And that's it for our weekly advanced server update. Thank you for watching.